Alright, I'm going to give you a book review of The Private Dancer. And this is going to be the first time in my YouTube career where I have not only given this book review once, I had given it, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, a book review. And I saw that book review. I didn't like it very much, I guess. I guess when we see our old footage and old videos, we don't like it. And in that video, I explained why I didn't want to read this book, how did I come to reading this book, and why you should read this book. Okay. So it has been 4 or 5 years since I read it, and just so that you know, I've read thousands of books, and out of the thousands of books, to the surprise of many, this is the book that I recommend as number 1 must read, this one. Now, here's the question. I'm a guy who reads non-fiction. I believe in self-improvement. Why am I recommending this book as number 1? So, you'll be surprised to know I have recommended this book to many people, and sometimes I end up getting people saying, why the hell did you recommend this book? This book is crap, or it's full of sex. Sometimes my female clients, they say it's full of sex, it's rubbish. So I used to wonder, why are they saying that? Why can't they see why am I recommending the book? So that is where, I don't know, for some strange reason, I decided maybe it's high time I read the book again and figure out, why did I like this book? Seriously, this is the second time I'm reading this book. And lo and behold, as I started to read the book, if you actually see, let me show you. See, as I read this book, I've underlined, I don't know if you can see it, I've highlighted in yellow throughout the book. Sometimes I have put with pencil, for example, like this. I mark important parts of the book. So as I was reading again I took my pencil and highlighter and I started highlighting areas of the book. And see, for example, this is the new ones. See this. I've highlighted sentences and statements. I'll show you one more. See here. Okay? Alright. So the reason for reading it again was to understand why the hell did I recommend this book? What was so great about this book that among all the self-improvement books from Jordan Peterson, from Sir Ken Robinson, Jonah Lehrer, David Eagleman, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, all the books from neuroscience to management books like Tom Peters, self-improvement books like Tony Robbins. Why is this number 1 in my list? Why? So I started to read. And as I started to read, one thing I discovered was there was too much of sex, which I had totally forgotten about it. Seriously, I totally forgot that there were a lot of episodes of it. It's a book on, it's a fictional book. But then there were the parts that I underlined with my highlighter and my pencil, and I read them again and I realized why the hell this book was number 1. Why the hell this book meant so much. I'll give you a few points to give you an example. I'll not spoil the story for you. But the overall gist of this book is a foreigner comes to Thailand, falls in love with a prostitute. It's called a bar girl, girls who dance in a bar. And then the author speaks on their tumultuous relationship. But what made this book really stand out was he goes into the mind of the guy. The character's name is Pete. Okay? He's a Farang or foreigner. He goes into his mind and he writes down what he's thinking. And then he goes into the Thai female who is a bar girl. Her name is Joy in this book. He goes into her mind and he tells you what she's thinking. Now the part that is shocking is when they give one incident, like for example, a small example. He meets her in a, example I'm giving you, he meets her in a gold shop, okay? Meets her in a gold shop and he buys her a gold, let's say, for $1,000. I'm just giving an example, it's not the actual story. First he narrates, he takes her to buy a gold chain for $1,000. Then he goes, there's the heading Pete, and he's writing down what Pete is thinking. And Pete thinks, and this is how he puts it, I bought this gold chain for her for $1,000. She should be so happy about it. I saw her smile and I knew that she was so madly in love. This chain is to prove my love for her. Okay? And she was so happy, she was smiling, she hugged me and said, I love you, you take care of me so much. And then the author, Stephen Leather, he puts the title Joy, that is that Thai female, and he gives what she's thinking. And what she's thinking is, this cheap stingy guy bought me only $1,000 chain. He's so rich, why couldn't he buy me a $5,000 chain? These foreigners are so stingy. But what to do? You have to manage with their stinginess. In my case, just to show him that I am gracious, I put a fake smile and I hugged him to tell him how much I love him. I was hoping that when I tell him that, he gives me something more. But guess what? He didn't. So now one incident where he purchased a gold chain. First is the neutral, like a third person. And then what he's thinking, what she's thinking. In the same way, there are so many incidents like this where when they are having sex, he's assuming that she loves him, but she is assuming totally something else. He celebrates her birthday and he invites her family members. And he thinks, oh, I made all of them happy. And then she thinks totally something else. In fact, the part that is a shocker in this is how a female, not just this character, how females justify their feelings. Like, for example, this girl is a prostitute. In this, she plays, the character is a prostitute. She has a husband. The husband is abusive. Okay? And while she's married, she's having sex with this guy. Okay? And he assumes that she's in love with him. That's why she's with him. And he's not aware that she has a husband. And as she is, having sex with him and having an affair, he thinks that, oh, the poor thing, she's a prostitute, I'll save her career, I'll save her life. And he starts paying her money so that she doesn't have to become a prostitute. He gives her like, $2,000 or whatever. And that's how he thinks. But what, and then, it's written, now she's loyal and faithful to me. She doesn't go to have sex with anyone. And then when it comes to her brains, how her mind works, they show that, oh, he's giving me $2,000, good. Now I can have sex with many other men and earn even more money. And all the money that she gets from not only this guy, but other customers, she goes and gives it to her husband. And because she wants to get his love. And the husband doesn't care a damn because he's using her. So, I mean, the entire book is such a mindfuck. It just makes you realize, you might think you know somebody, but how their mind is working is totally something. Like, for example, in this book it's written, example, you can believe it's fiction or non-fiction. These girls are taught that when a foreigner comes, how to behave, how to smile. They like you to be petite. They like you to be small. They like it when you put your hand in between their thigh. They like it when you take their hand and allow them to put their hand on your body. Okay. When they leave to the airport, these tourists, when they leave to the airport, show that you're sad, cry, and insist that you drop them to the airport. And when they leave, start crying as if you're going to miss them and tell them I love you. They will give you a very big sum of money to tell you that I will be back. And foreigners believe, like as per this book, foreigners believe when they meet someone to express their love, they should say, I love you. But Thai women, when you say I love you, they think, these guys, they just see anyone sexy and they say I love you. They're so cheap. So overall, what I'm trying to say is, this book really makes you look at how a male brain thinks, how a female brain thinks, even though it is put as fiction. I can tell you through my experience, a lot of the examples that they put is actually, it works in real life. Now, maybe someone who has not had multiple partners may not be able to relate to this. Or maybe someone who has a happy marriage might think this is all rubbish. But I can tell you out of, see, look at the amount of yellow and notes, and out of the number of lines that I've underlined, it's for me, it's not to preach to anyone. I can tell you without a doubt, this book really reminds me how emotions are, how feelings are, how men are, how females are. In fact, like they even give a man-to-man interaction. The guy thinks his boss loves him because he is doing an exceptional work, and the boss has given him increased pay raise, and he's like, see, finally my boss has recognized that I'm working hard. And then when the writer goes into the mind of the boss is saying, this guy is, slipping, and his performance is not up to the mark. I just gave him a small bump up in his salary so that he'll work harder. I just hope he finishes the assignment. I'll throw him out once I finish. So just imagine, how Mr. A thinks, how Mr. B thinks. And then finally, I think the overall shocker for me in this book was, someone can tell you that they love you, that they'll die for you, they'll cut their wrist for you, they will write letters in their own blood. But the minute you're no longer there, they will do the exact same thing with somebody else. And they justify it with their experiences. See, now obviously you'll say, oh, all women are bitches. No. When the writer gives you this female's past, even though it's a fictitious one, she was raped by her father, then she was raped by her brother multiple number of times. Her brother used to pimp her out when she was like from 6 years old. And because she got just so tired and fed up of being pimped out, and she told her brother one day, okay, instead of guys forcing themselves, I will work with you, you pimp me out, give me 50% of the revenue, I'll try to do what you want. Means how to keep them happy and addicted to me. And the brother agrees. And then they have this relationship whereby the brother and her, kind of run a business. And then same thing with her sisters. And there's one more part that really baffles me. A female, like for example, a prostitute, she will have maybe 5 guys who, namesake, she is kind of married to them or my boyfriend, but she'll not tell either of the 5 that she is having other boyfriends and she is sleeping around with customers. But in her mind, I give them so, like, say for example, a person named Tony, she says to herself, I give Tony so much of attention, I massage him, I listen to him, I take care of him, and he only sends me $2,000 a month. I mean, how stingy can he get when he is living in a house which is like $10,000 a month? He books expensive airline tickets. He has his wife who gives so much more expensive things. He should give me also. So their brains work different here. See, overall what I'll tell you is, if you're looking for a book that really shocks you, not the sexual content, but rather exposes you to how a man's brain works, how a female's brains work, how their thinking differs, even though it is, okay, a prostitute or whatever, how they justify their feelings, how they justify their emotions, how they justify the wrong that they do. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the writer has so, you know, in a way, the book is dragged on a little bit. Like I was waiting to finish the whole book, especially towards, I think, 80% towards the end. But man, by the time I read the end of the book, like the writer gives what finally happened after 5 years, 10 years later. Some people died, some people met with an accident, some overdosed. And then you begin to think, fuck, man, this is life. And it's so unpredictable. You might be a good guy. That doesn't mean good things will happen to you. And you can be a bad person and still get a lot of benefits, So overall, this book is still my number one recommended reading book. Only thing is, I'll be a bit careful when I recommend this book to, I think, especially females, because some of my female clients were very offended that this book is full about sex. And one thing, be careful, there is a lot of graphic detailed about sex and all that. But it is the writer is trying to pull you into the character and make you understand what it is all about. But for me, it's so shocking. I even forgot that there was so much of sex written in the book. My mind was still thinking about the mind manipulation and the analysis and how people fool themselves to believing whatever they want to believe. So if you want truly a mind-bending, I would say a mind fuck, a book that makes you understand the psychology of men and women in a story format, this is a must read. And for anyone who wants to fall in love with an Asian girl or come to Thailand, it's written here at the recommendations at the end. Pattaya Mail and Bangkok Post, they say it's a must read for anybody. In fact, I tell people, you want to come to Thailand? Before that, read this book, only then come. And you'll thank me for it. So overall, this is my book review, and I'll tell you, I will still highly recommend this as my number one in my reading list, but it differs from person to person. So let me know if you have read the book. If you have, put your comments and thoughts down below. But if you have not, I would suggest try reading the book and let me know your thoughts. All right? But remember, it's a sexual graphic novel. All right? So be wary of that. All right? You guys take care. This is me signing off. Ciao.